Hi, I'm here to do a weekly reading for the week of May 5th through May 11th. There are some usual disclaimers that a lot of people put at the beginning of these, so I will say that this is a collective read. Take what you want from it, leave everything else. It is not meant to be any kind of legal or medical advice or anything that should supersede your own intuition and your own instinct with things. When I do these readings, they are mainly for something just kind of fun and interesting to add to your week. Maybe something to, give you something to think about and ponder on a little bit when you can focus your thoughts. Sometimes we move through life and we don't really stop to like halt on any one area just to consider. I mean, there's numerous things you could stop and consider each week. This is just something that if you like my personality and you like how I read the cards and you're interested at all in learning a little bit more about tarot and how to use it as a tool for self-reflection, for, just considering things that you might brush over otherwise. I would say it's kind of like reading your horoscope out of the daily paper, but I don't know how those are written. I don't know who writes them. So I, will read mine occasionally and give it a thought that week or that day just to see. But mainly this is just an added thing to your week. So with that being said, I just pulled an energy from a collective standpoint that anyone watching this, what is going on kind of with the energies that we all may like share and have in common. So there may be a particular situation that you might be finding yourself in this week. And it came out very specifically today. So I hope that you can take away something from it just to give yourself that moment to think and ponder on it and maybe add it to your own wisdom and see if it is at all beneficial to your week. So the card that I pulled for the energy of the week is the King of Cups. Now, in the tarot, there are four kings. All of these suits represent one of the elemental energies in life. The cup suit is the water element. So it is very representational of our emotional side, the way that we handle things, the way we handle our emotions and situations, how we process the world through that emotional vision. And the king energy typically represents a very mature, level of that energy. So the court cards are pages and knights and queens and kings. The queen and king are usually fairly similar, but there is a masculine edge to it, and then the queen has a more feminine edge, and they kind of have different roles in life. We all embody both masculine and feminine energies, and we usually operate at a high level when they're in balance. So that would come through, for instance, in some of the cultural change we see where we're putting it out there that it is very healthy for men to express emotion. If they feel like crying, they can. And I think sometimes we've had these stereotyped images of masculinity that doesn't involve showing emotion. And that's one thing that our culture, you can see it around you, is changing, that it doesn't take away from masculinity to show emotion. And the King of Cups is sort of representative of that. Now, the king here is not crying. He's not, outwardly demonstrating a lot of emotion. So what this is maturity to process the emotion that you are having and to sit calmly with it. It's not to deny it. It's not to ignore it. It's not to take action. It's just to simply accept. Now, a couple of things that I noticed in the card. I know, I'm sorry for the glare. Behind his throne is a broom. In this particular deck, the brooms represent the wands suit. And the wand suit corresponds with the fire element. That's action and things that motivate us to move, initiative, that kind of energy. So it's sitting there, though. He's not utilizing the wand energy. He's not acting. He's simply sitting. And if you notice, the cat at the bottom is playing with the fish. There is a mermaid in the background. There's a dolphin jumping. This particular deck, the Everyday Witch Tarot, has this calmness, but also a playfulness attached to the King of Cups card. He's also holding like a not a periscope, but it's representative. The looking glass there is representative of looking toward the future, keeping the eye on the future and what's going on around. But he is holding his cup up. He looks pretty chill to me. So this is a card of patience and understanding your emotions, not acting on anything. It's almost adopting, because of what I'm noticing today, kind of a playful energy. It could be a distractive, like a distract yourself with play. It could be that kind of energy based on what else I see. Because clarifying that card, we have the Seven of Pentacles and the Hierophant energy. The Seven of Pentacles is in the pentacle realm. So it's talking about resources, money, and things that we, in our material world, our jobs, and what we're like, our savings accounts. It's a 7 out of 10 in the suit. And so 7 is that place where it's also a card of having some amount of patience with the process. In most representations of this card are kind of like showing a farmer, kind of, and she is, she's tending to plants that are growing, and the coins represent the fruit that those plants will bear. And the 7 is telling us that it may not be the right time to reap our harvest yet. That would come later at a 10. However, we need to keep tending with the understanding that nature has to take its course on something. So there's a process involved. And in this case, it's a very natural process of knowing that plants need sunlight, plants need watering, plants need patience, and to let them do their thing. And then if we wait, then it will be time for a harvest. And when we can exercise our patience, when we can follow the process, we can reap the benefits of, in this case, coins or fruit of our labor of tending these gardens. And she has, again, I'm noticing the wine and the book on the table. In the process of tending and waiting for a process, waiting for nature to take its course, we can enjoy ourselves. It doesn't have to be a rigorous activity. It's much more natural than that if we exercise that understanding and calmness, which is shown in this card. So he's not stressed, right? And the wine and the book are very representative of the play energy to me that I picked up in the King of Cups card today, which is unusual because I don't usually pick up that. Now, paired with the Hierophant card, remember, the thing that stood out the most is the Hierophant energy is a major arcana, and the other two cards I've shown are minor arcana. So the major arcanas always kind of point to timing to me, and it's the 5 card. So we are looking at May. May be a month to take a step back and recognize that you are involved in a bigger process, and we may have to have time to wait. Usually the Hierophant energy is kind of Taurus energy to me, which we are in Taurus season, and it has to do with it tends to be a very spiritual card or religious card, but it doesn't always have to say you're dealing with a church or some spiritual or religious entity. It's more about like cultural traditions and things where groups of people get together and decide on a process. In those sense, the Hierophant cards can represent institutions like universities, schooling, banking, like our court system. It can even represent like marriage. That's a tradition. That's something that we as a group of people have decided that this is the structure. So it is very structured. There is a process to it. And in this card, it is instruction. 2 people are sitting before like a teacher. So it can very much represent like learning from a higher institution, learning from an agreed on set of procedures or information. I know that's a lot, and I'm sorry about that. But basically, this is like there may be something that you're learning here that you are not all the way. I know this is like a big graduation time. So these cards really are representative of like waiting until you can graduate, waiting until you can advance in an area or in a structure like a university. Now together, sorry, that got a little out there. In a very basic sense, these cards are kind of saying that try this week, if you're waiting on something, there is a process that you may have to just wait out. And the King of Cups card is indicating to have patience and, control your emotions with that wait. It also really speaks of optimism and not thinking the negative thing, but sitting with your emotions, sitting in a calm, cool, collected state while a process takes place. So this could be come across in a couple of different ways. You could be waiting for that graduation day. You could be waiting till you take that last final. You could be waiting on an application of any kind, waiting on a bank loan, because it's part of the process. There is something that just has to unfold the way it has to unfold. And your best bet this week would be to sit in an energy of the King of Cups. Level emotions, having optimism, possibly distracting yourself with things that make you feel good and playful while the process unfolds. This is like a week of letting nature take its course in some way or another. I did pull a couple of extra cards just to see if I could get any specifics on other like real world situations that you might be facing that have that energy. And the Strength card and the Seven of Wands came out. It's just the same energy. The Strength card is about, literal having strength, or having, sometimes it takes a lot of strength to have patience, or to not rush the process, not to pester people. If you're waiting on a response from an institution, you may feel like sending them 3 or 4 emails and calling, but you're probably going to get more out of your time if you just let the process happen, let things run its course, and maybe come up with something else that makes you feel happy and good to do while you're waiting. So I love this card, because the Strength card always makes me want to say that we have the strength to kind of keep our mouth shut. we don't want to be really impulsive or super angry or anything. It's the idea of this card is that every human embodies both this very angelic figure and this very natural, primal lion energy, this thing that is so capable of, the roar. And that true strength, it lies in grace, that grace will trump the roar every day. And that's that inner strength to control ourselves, to control our emotions, to control that first impulse. And there's a maturity in this card, and it is hard to do. I mean, it's much easier to be reactive. And this whole week there may be situations going on where it will serve you well to handle your emotions, deal with them and know them, but also stay very level. You don't have to let everything show on the surface. And the other card is a card that talks about not being defensive, not feeling like you have to stand your ground or you're being attacked. You can allow yourself to breathe and to be a little bit vulnerable in a state where before for some reason, you may have felt like you need to protect yourself and defend or fight for something. And this week is just not the week for that. I think you can operate however you want, but with the main energy coming out as the King of Cups, it will serve you better to embody the King of Cups kind of energy. It's just this emotionally controlled kind of energy in a good way. He understands his emotions. He just sees the bigger picture, and he can process those emotions without being reactive. On the off chance that you are dealing with a particular King of Cups, maybe this isn't your energy, it could be someone you're dealing with while you wait, or the King of Cups is typically a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio masculine individual, but there's not a lot of despite there being kings and queens, there's not a lot of gender in tarot. It's more within the individual, and since we embody all of it, then but if we were talking about specific people, this would usually be a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, water sign man to me. With these being general readings, I'm thinking this is more of our general energy. And I did pull 2 extra cards just as pieces of advice on maybe how to get to that energy if you're having trouble. And I love it. It really is specific in its timing. The first one is I view the world with childlike wonder. That this is the energy again of that childlike, the play, the things that make you feel lighthearted. Maybe you're dealing with a child and you're having to keep your cool because you're waiting on something to like level up to the next level through a process. It is the Six of Cups card in the normal tarot deck. So it's the six, if you can read at the bottom, Six of Emotion. That is a card of nostalgia. It can be a card of dealing with young people that you care about, but it also could be dealing with something from your own past. So if you're dealing with a heavy situation from your past and that involves any kind of nostalgia or thinking back, this energy is about giving yourself the time and the space. If you're grieving a situation, accepting the good with the sad, and letting it be. Like I feel this sense of letting it exist right now. And I don't know why I got heavy there. But you may be facing issues of the past in some way, and allowing them, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it it will bring you a sense of peace, I think. Now, the other thing is to look at the world with childlike wonder. Sometimes we get older and we get more cynical, and the King of Cups does not do that. Again, I'm going to point out that cat playing with the fish and the mermaid in the background and the dolphin. These things that that bring about wonder, that energy is very healing. It's very soothing. It's a really great way to, if you have to wait for something, to embody those things that are, remember that you can be awed by things. Sometimes we get cynical, sometimes we get busy, but when you can just stop and sit with your emotions and allow the good emotions to come through, things that you used to be very excited about when you were a child, it's kind of a magical energy, and it's a choice. I know I'm getting kind of deep here, and I don't really know why. I hope that helps with someone. But I think sometimes we forget we have a choice whether or not to be happy. We have a choice whether or not to be cynical about the good things around us. I would suggest go buy yourself an ice cream cone. Go look through the toy section at a store. Go just wander around the park or look up at the sky, at night. I don't know. I usually keep up with the meteor showers, and I haven't right this second. It's been kind of busy, but staring at the sky, get back to that place where something can surprise you and something can really wow you. That is a really great open energy to be, and it's very soothing and healing to things that were not so good feeling. But also it's a great time killer if you have to wait on something. If you're waiting on a process, if you're waiting on something you don't control, that is a really great energy to sit in to pass the time. So if you had to go to an appointment and you were stuck in the waiting room, to really people watch, to think about if you were staring at the floor and the carpet, trying to wrap your head around where that carpet began, and how they got it there and the big rolls that it comes on. Anything that you would have thought of when you were a child, those kinds of games are a great energy to sit in. It definitely keeps you open and keeps you positive and can help a bad situation be better. So that was a lot of work. I'm sorry about that. A lot to say. The other card is the Chariot energy, and it is yes, I am able. Yes, I can. This card is also a major arcana. So you have a couple of them, and I said I take those as timing sometimes. This is the number 7 card, and it's Chariot card. So Chariot represents the Cancer energy of the tarot deck. So Cancer time frame is mid-June to mid-July, like June 20th to July 20th, somewhere right in there. And that is also represented by the 7. So I'm going to say like that July time frame. What I really like about this, besides just being a very positive affirmation with a lot of yellow, the Chariot represents momentum and success. And so it's getting a grip. The normal Chariot card for when I say normal, the Rider-Waite Chariot card shows a man in a chariot, and he has the reins of the two horses. And when you grab both reins, you are able to move forward quickly. You know, you're not going to veer off the road because you only have one rein. It's getting control of a situation, and then with that control comes momentum and success. So it's about pulling ahead quickly. Here it says change and willpower. And again, the reins of the other card, grabbing the reins. So what I want to tell you is, number one, things may begin to move forward coming up very quickly in Cancer season. So you can start to look for changes in mid to late June into July where you feel like you're very successful. So for instance, if this whole thing is, one example would be like if you decided to start a diet plan or a wellness plan of some kind where you were eating better, you were adding workouts at the beginning here in May, you may not feel a lot of change. That would be like the Seven of Pentacles card, where you're putting the work in, you're tending to a process, but it is a process and it does, something doesn't change overnight. But by this time frame in late June and July, you could begin to see a night and day difference. And I'm looking at the black and the white on this card. So there could be a very black and white difference from where you start, where you may not see a lot of changes visibly. You may not be able to do much about it, but when you stick to the process and tend to it, especially with a good attitude, a playful attitude, by this time of year, in just a month or two, you should feel successful, or you should begin to see the seeds of success and the momentum. So stick with things. I know that was a lot this time from just a few cards, but I kind of like it because we are getting ready to move into a season where we're going to be able to utilize that momentum. So if you had ideas about starting a process that you already had started, and maybe you're like kind of worried because nothing's happening yet, think about that grace energy of the Strength card. Think about following the process. Remember that you may not know everything. There may be more learning to do. And so have patience with yourself. Approach it with a fun attitude. Keep your emotions in check and confident. Try to keep your optimism up and your happiness up. And you can do that through becoming, letting your inner child out, looking at that world through the lens of a child, like the one card. And again, it may be worth noting on a calendar when you begin or when you mark that you're going to focus on that King of Cups energy, and then mark again in late June, and just to see if there is a difference. So I hope that helped. That one felt kind of rambly, but I liked the message a lot. Keep with what you're doing. Understand there is a process, and no matter how hard you work, no matter how much your emotions take over, you may actually just need to stay with it. Let the process unfold, and try to have a cool head about it. So no matter what comes the way this week for you, I hope that in some way this energy can help and give you something to think about and make the week better, make your outcomes better. And if you do have anything that begins to change and you start to see results, I would love to hear about it. I will be around in June, so I've got my own stuff going on, and so the momentum energy of the Chariot card's really hopeful for me. So I'm wishing you the best, and I will get ready to start the zodiac sign readings. Okay, Aries. What is the energy that you may be dealing with this week? And how to deal with that. Okay, Aries. Aries energy, you got your own card. It is in reverse, and I do read reversals. That adds a different layer of meanings to things. Reversals don't always mean the exact opposite energy. So I may explain, the different meanings, but the Fool card is the very first card of the tarot, and it typically represents a moment or something that it can be kind of two different things. It can be When it's upright, it talks about having an energy about you of taking a leap of faith, having faith in yourself, and in the universe or God to, just to start, just to begin, to jump in, to say yes to something. When it's in reverse, it can mean fearful of that energy, like not taking a risk. So you may find yourself either with, it could be like your mood about something. You may not think something is worth the risk. It may have nothing to do with fear. It may just be that you don't have faith in a particular situation. It may come up. It also could be that something you anticipated that would be starting, or an opportunity that you were hoping for hasn't come through yet. So in that case, that's just the energy. So something that you had been hoping for, or that you were looking for, there may not be the new beginning that you were expecting or hoping for happen this week. And if there is an option to start something new, you may not feel like it's the right one. So the advice here is so funny because the general collective just got the King of Cups, and I shuffled the cards and it still came out anyway. So the advice I have is the Ace of Pentacles reversed and the King of Cups. The Ace of Pentacles is that new opportunity. It's an opportunity in the material realm. So it's doing something. It could be about money, but it doesn't have to be money. It's more resource, something material, like your time translates into money or activities or things in the material. So it could be time, your attention on something, or it could be a new job. It could be a new car. It could be something that is tangible, that is new, offered to you. And if you look at the card in the upright, he's or she is holding the opportunity up. So it was almost like, and usually in the traditional sense of the Ace of Pentacles or any of the aces, there's an opportunity to be handed down from clouds. So it's kind of like God presented this, the universe presented this, life presented this opportunity to you. You haven't taken it yet when the card shows up. In this deck, though, they do have the person actually holding on to the opportunity that was given to them. In the reverse, you don't have the opportunity you thought you might, or that you were hoping for. And that's where this King of Cups comes into play, is to keep your eye on the future, keep your eye on the next opportunity. Maybe it's just not here yet. Sometimes when the aces are reversed, it indicates that just not yet. And I would say that that's probably the case. You either have an opportunity or you're waiting for the right timing of something. The Fool card can indicate Aries season. So maybe an Aries season, which was late March into April, maybe it wasn't the right timing for something and you're waiting for the right time to do something. So this is about being chill, and watching for the right time. So that's one thing, is maybe the opportunity you wanted hadn't arrived yet, or you weren't comfortable enough with it yet to take it. But to keep your eye out, because it should be coming, and to keep your optimism up and keep your eye out. It's very akin in a very little way to, like, if you're waiting to pull out into traffic and you have to wait for the opening, right? Maybe there was not the right opening before. And so you're sitting here without the opportunity to pull out yet into traffic, and to get going on the road that you need to go. So, but it is watchful for it. So that's a really good analogy to say that if something wasn't the right timing or hasn't happened yet, to keep an eye out, to keep positive, because it will be coming. And I want to say attitude is important here. Optimism, playfulness, and attitude. So I hope that helps. Okay, Taurus. Let's see what energy you may be dealing with this week, and a piece of advice. Taurus. Okay. Taurus energy. The Knight of Cups is the card that came out for you this week. And I really like this card. It's a sweet energy. As you can tell, there's movement in the card. All the knights represent some kind of action taken. So this could be you approaching someone else or someone approaching you with some kind of friendly gesture. This would be the card that if someone were to ask you out, this is the energy. If someone were to call you and say, hey, I'm going to go buy plants. Do you want to come with me? I want to splurge and buy you a plant. This is a note that says, hey, I'm thinking about you. You want to go do this? It's generally an invitation of some kind, not necessarily an invitation to go do something, but an invitation that encourages you to participate also, versus like sending a note that doesn't need a response. This is more like sending a note where you're hoping someone responds. Like this is more of an engagement, kind of an invitation to engage, kind of. I don't know why I went off on that. I don't think I've ever described that card that way before. But it's an act of extending emotions to somebody. So maybe you had been on the fence, or maybe you had a lot going on and you haven't had time to go have lunch with your friend in a while. This week you may make time to do that, and approach someone with friendship, with love. Hey, let's do something. Or someone could be doing that for you. So you may experience this energy coming at you, or you may be doing this week. And it's sweet. I like it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't know if there isn't. I really am seeing the shark in the water with this. I'm assuming it's a shark. I mean, shark doesn't seem to go really well with the Knight of Cups. However, what it's indicating to me today is that there may be a ferocity kind of associated with it. Maybe that's a strong word. Like maybe a real determination to go after something that you've wanted to do, like, really working it in. If you have had a really busy schedule, or you have really been on the fence about asking someone out or approaching someone, you may feel this week like you're going to, like there may be like a single-minded determination to do it, like a beeline towards something. Or someone might be coming at you that way. Now, the advice going with this is kind of interesting. I I could do like a full reading with just these two cards and going with that. It's the Devil reversed and the Page of Pentacles upright. The Devil reversed is easy energy in a way, because the Devil energy is simply a kind of temptation or something that really is probably not what we would normally do. It's generally a card of being kind of tied to something that is kind of toxic. And usually Devil energy represents compulsions, addictions, things that we feel pressure from the outside to do. When it's in reverse, it's like freeing yourself from the have to, freeing yourself from guilt, freeing yourself from any kind of tempting thing, of just not being yourself. And then paired with the Page of Pentacles, I like this because the page energy is kind of little. It's like a step below the Knight energy of the Aries card. I mean, of the what came up as the main card here. But it's putting it into practical, material, real world instance. So it's letting go of inhibitions and making a real plan to do something, or really putting your money where your mouth is. It's like putting money down on something. It's sending someone a note, but then making the reservation. It's something tangible and kind of concrete step forward into something. So I always see this Page of Pentacles as kind of an investment card. It's a baby investment. It's little, it's not like you're throwing in all 10 pentacles. No, this is just like, it's like, if you were going to, a good example of that energy itself is if you were going to buy a large, say, commission item. I mean, I'm an artist, so if you're going to commission a big project for me, I might ask for a deposit. This page energy is kind of the deposit. It's putting your money where your mouth is. Yes, I'm definitely going to want this. So it's taking that additional step to make it in the real world and marking it on your calendar, really setting a date. So, hey, do you want to go out? Do you want to have lunch sometime? We haven't seen each other in a long time. Let's do that. Okay, let's do that. I'm not going to be tempted by work. I'm not going to be tempted by the other things. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put this on my calendar. It's doing something in the real world. So, in terms of advice, this is kind of like if you were tempted to say that you had a notion to reconnect with someone or to go visit someone. It's not letting other things get in the way. It's not letting guilt, not letting work, not letting any of those other things. You're not being tempted. You're going to do what you say you're going to do. You note it on the calendar. So it's getting out of your head. That getting rid of that devil energy could be, well, should I, shouldn't I? It could be like going back and forth for whatever reason. And it's kind of coming out of that and making a solid plan and putting something material behind it. So I hope that helps. Okay, Gemini. Okay, Gemini energy. The Nine of Pentacles in reverse is a card of, in very simple terms, I mean, the easiest translation of this card is basically not having what you need to feel independent. Basically not having enough money to like stand on your own 2 feet, not having, it can get really deep into some other things, but mainly this is just not feeling like you have everything you need to feel satisfied just within yourself right now. It is a Pentacles card, so it definitely does usually talk about having enough resources like money. So this could be an energy of like not having enough money to move out on your own, not having enough money to feel real secure within your own environment. Upright, she is got everything she needs, right? She has enough that she can feel independent, feel good in her surroundings, feel like she doesn't have to have somebody else. She doesn't need help. She doesn't need anything. She's strong, stable, good alone. When it's not, it's lacking that in some capacity. So maybe you don't have enough money this week. Maybe you're not feeling very stable and sure of yourself from a financial standpoint or a security standpoint. I don't know if this is within a setting where other people around you do. But that you could be feeling like that this week, not having enough resources. Maybe I'm over talking this because the advice is goes along with that and it's pretty simple. The King of Swords and the Five of Pentacles upright. The Five of Pentacles talks about coming in from out of the cold and is also a pentacle card. So it could be a card of feeling broke, feeling left out in the cold, not having what you need. But there is, if you look at the card, there is a warm, stable home situation right there. There is solace. There is help. There is something right there. The King of Swords could be a person within that home, somebody who's knowledgeable, who can make a plan, who thinks with their logic. They don't get bogged down in emotional things. They're very clear-minded, analytical. A rule follower. It could be an official of some kind, but mainly this could just be deciding. The King of Swords is a very decisive individual, and so it could be deciding to come in from out of the cold, deciding to get out of that feeling of lack. Now, the way this works is you see his sword is pointing to the book. This could be deciding this week to set a new plan. If you're feeling broke, this is setting a new budget. How to not be broke. It's his decision to no longer be broke. So this could be a week where you get really firm and you make a promise to yourself. You may go seek out help. You might look up numbers of some kind. Like, I don't know if you have to go back over your bank accounts and accounting and you're going to stick to a plan, but the King of Swords is a very decisive action. It's very logical action. It's following a certain set of rules in order to come out of the cold. So this kind of looks like if you're feeling broke, you may need to set yourself up on a new budget and stick to it. And you could be doing that this week. That energy of the King of Swords is the decision to like do this. King energy is pretty good. And that was upright. So there's really nothing, to worry about there in terms of if you can get into that mindset, you can become very decisive about fixing a situation. Probably so that you can feel independent. Okay, Cancer. Situation that you might be dealing with this week. The King of Cups just came out. That card just keeps coming out. Cancer energy. What's the situation you might be dealing with this week? And a piece of advice. Okay, so Cancer, the card I pulled for you is the Three of Swords. Normally this is a card of disappointment or a heartbreak of some kind. This particular one is kind of interesting because it does look like there's a journal there on the bed after some kind of disappointment or some kind of heartbreaking situation. We tend to try to process it in some way. Some people write in their journal. Some people try to write things down. Three swords there represented in the heart box is kind of interesting to me in this. And of course, outside the window is still stormy. So the red inside, it's very indicative of things being still kind of raw. So you may be experiencing something this week, or maybe you have been for a while, but it's still present. It's still very palpable. So something could have happened that is still very raw, and I don't know if it involves another individual or if this is asking you to, or if you find yourself even trying to keep your emotions very level despite feeling like this, because we had the King came up for the King of Cups came up for the whole week. So it makes me wonder if you are staying very level on the surface and housing some pretty raw emotions on the inside about something that was very disappointing to you or that actually kind of broke your heart. Maybe it could be a message somebody sent you that hurt your feelings, or something you read about, something you keep replaying over and over that continues to kind of hurt. The advice for the week is the Queen of Swords reversed and that Seven of Pentacles card. It's funny that the cards from the week keep coming up in the readings for the individual signs. As advice, there are a couple of ways to read this. It's about getting outside into nature. That Seven of Pentacles really does indicate a process. Something isn't ready yet to bear its fruit. But it's also, just looking at these two together, it's really saying maybe to get outside a little bit. If you garden, you might want to go out and tend in the garden and ground yourself in that. There is a process that needs to happen. So if we're talking about grieving with the Three of Swords here, this is definitely a card of grief. There is a process to it, so you still may be heavily in that process. The Seven of Pentacles in that case would be to just an awareness and understand that, there will be a time that you will feel better. The time does help this. The Queen of Swords in reverse is really, when it falls into the advice category, it's really about not cutting yourself off from other people and other things. You may need people right now. Even though you might not feel like it, it may be worth it to you to venture outside and to, again, be out in nature just because of the look of the other card. But I would steer clear of walling yourself off. Like, isolation could be what you want right now, but it could make the process harder. So if you have the opportunity, despite feeling very heartbroken, or if you're in the process of some kind of grief or disappointment, definitely don't isolate. but know that other people could be a source of help right now, even if you still feel bad. Like, it's okay. That's kind of part of it, that there is something here kind of about waiting out the process, but not having to do it all by yourself or all alone. There is I don't know, a need for grounding or softness or something, being out in nature also. So I hope that helps. And I'm sorry if you're experiencing anything really horrible this week that is causing you that kind of pain. Okay, Leo. Leo, what is an energy that you could be experiencing this week, and a piece of advice to go along with it? An energy that you could be experiencing this week. Seven of Cups, reverse, and all right. This week, the Seven of Cups in reverse for Leo. This is an energy of seeing things for what they are. It's seeing the reality of a situation. And I can put it in context by showing you what the card is normally upright. Upright, the Seven of Cups is a card of possibility and daydreaming and brainstorming and imagining what could be. This kind of energy can come about at the... well, if you were to if you walked into a convenience store and they did not have your favorite go-to drink, and you were standing there at the case and you were looking at all these other drinks or all these other flavors that you have never tried before. And as you're reading the labels, you're trying to imagine what they would taste like, which one would be the best, what would you like the best. It's that kind of moment where you don't really know how the options will play out. You don't know the reality of an option that you haven't tried. So you can tell she is looking there at those 7 cups, and she is imagining what could be in each one. We don't really know at that point. It's that moment where our mind is wide open. Can also come into play in bigger ways, like if you wanted a new job. Say you're ready for a job change, but you really want a change and you don't really know because there's so many things you haven't done before. So you start letting your mind wander to different types of work and what that might be like for you. If you are on a dating app and you have all these potentials and you're just looking at the pictures of the people that you're maybe interested in, it's just opening your mind to potential, but we really don't know. So that's why it's often, the daydreaming card, possibility, what could be, but we don't really have any idea. We're just trying to project what we might feel about a situation. Like, would I like that kind of work? Would I like to be a teacher? Would I like to change? And would I like to try this? But we don't really know yet. It's just an expansive energy, and it's tied to our emotions. It's in the cups suit. So it's about how you feel about things, but we're also kind of I just will say daydreaming. When this card is in the reverse, it's a moment where we see something, we see the reality. There is no daydreaming. There is no delusional energy here. There's no potential. It just is what it is, and we see it for what it is. Now, this would be a moment where you know which drink you like from the case. There's no reason to look for anything else. This was, say that you were in a new job and you realize that you really like the job. You know the reality now. There's no reason to look for something different. You know what this is. And it can go the other way too, but I just feel very positive about this energy. So this is one of those examples where being in the reverse isn't necessarily a negative or the opposite of the card. It's opposite here, but it's not a negative connotation at all. It's just knowing the situation. And it could be you seeing a situation very clearly. There might be someone that you didn't know very well. Maybe, for instance, like looking at these videos, you might, when you first maybe watched my video, If you've never heard me speak, if you've never heard me read cards, maybe you were unsure or, weren't even sure this could be the energy of Beth is doing tarot, what could that be like? And then once you watch a video, So it's that maybe you're looking at a person in a more realistic way or a situation. Now, the advice this week is the Six of Wands in reverse and the Two of Cups. This can come off in a lot of different ways, and it really would be up to your own situation. I'm having trouble like generalizing this, but I can tell you what these cards mean. The Six of Wands in reverse is something that you're not sharing publicly. It's not outward. It could just be between you and someone else, like the Two of Cups here. Somebody who shares the same emotional bond or that you feel safe to share your emotions with. Somebody who brings the equal amount to the table. The Two of Cups is about an emotional match, and it doesn't have to be romantic at all. It can be a friend that you confide in. So there may be something here that you're seeing very realistically, or that you've decided upon, or you've brainstormed, you've looked at something in a certain way and you were unsure, but now you're sure. You may only confide in one person, or a close, somebody who gets you, somebody who would know why you think that, or could share, could understand. But it's certainly not putting it out publicly. So, and that is advice. So I would not put something out publicly. If you need to confide in someone, make sure it's someone who trusts you and gets you, and a partner, a friend, somebody who already knows you on that emotional level, that there's a sense of trust, I feel here. So you might have decided on something and you may be confiding with someone. It's just the advice here is to do it within a close relationship or somebody who knows you and cares about you, not necessarily on a public forum. So I hope that helps. Okay, Virgo, an energy you might be dealing with this week. And a piece of advice. All right, this week. This is the energy of the Ten of Swords, but it's in reverse, which I'm happy to see. The Ten of Swords upright is one of probably the most painful energy of the tarot deck to me. It is, I think this came up last week for someone. This is the energy of a situation being all the way done in a fairly painful way. It can represent betrayal, like literally, I guess figuratively, like stabbed in the back, that phrase that we all know. To the point that a situation is over. Like if you were going back and forth with someone and you had the final straw that broke the camel's back, and you just do not want to be in that situation anymore. This is over and done. When it's in reverse, it's the same energy, but what this represents is like after the fact, when it's still very present though. Now again, that's the second time this week that the energy of something painful, but it's still present in the energy. It didn't just happen, but it is still here, lingering either in your mind or in the situation somehow. But you are over it. It's like the forgiving, not forgetting kind of energy. And that's probably not a very good phrase to describe it, but it still means that it is here. Like you haven't forgotten. Something might not be over. In fact, there could be paperwork involved. There could be things to wrap up in a legal sense or in a paperwork sense, contractual sense. But it's not like any betrayal or any massive ending isn't happening this week. It already has. So this is like after the fact of something very painful. There was a painful ending, and you might be dealing with the ramifications of that this week. So in terms of the advice, the Six of Pentacles in reverse, there could be a lot of ways to read this card. it's funny right now, my mind is really blank, and I know what this card means. It's that there's something between dealing with the after effects of an ending and the advice. There's this space, and I there's just really nothing here. So you might find yourself, besides the cards or anything, you might find yourself having nothing to say or not being able to really respond. And that could be where this comes into play, is maybe you don't have it in you to have an equal back and forth with people. If you've had some kind of ending, it could be that there's just that space that there's just nothing going on. You may not be capable of like replying to people right away, or putting in all the effort to, that you should be at work. You may be kind of somewhere else a little bit. It's just this weird zone right now of after something kind of painful happens. And again, I don't think it was happening this week. I think it already has. So something might not be so equal give and take. If you're zoning out at work a little more, you may not feel like you're working up to your usual. If people have been reaching out to you, you may not have a chance to get back with them right away. Something's kind of like just not, this is usually a card of like being able to be generous, something that where you're in a position to give back. It's also about like justice in a way, because it's equal give and take with this card. And so something isn't equal yet, give and take. Now, what's kind of interesting is I did pull two cards just to see, and I did get the Justice card and Temperance. This is Libra and Sagittarius energy, maybe, that you're dealing with, but it doesn't have to be in, signs like that. That's just what those are the corresponding zodiac signs. Justice is that card of balance. And so there may be something in the court system. It is a court card that way. It can represent court dealings. Temperance is a card of balance and staying grounded in the face of, situations that might otherwise throw you. So this is like not overindulging. This is making sure you keep one foot planted on the ground. The right thing to do here would be to stay balanced in spite of a situation potentially that is not balanced. So if it could be that somebody owes you something and they're not giving it back yet, the advice is to either let the justice system play out, or justice will play out. You stay balanced in the situation, which also kind of leads to that King of Cups energy from the collective card. If this is you that has experienced something kind of tough, you might not be able to give back yet. And it's just to stay balanced until things even out. So something might not feel fair. I'm not sure it's up to you to make it fair right now. There may be a larger situation, a larger institution, a larger something else at play. I really am going to that general read about the process. So it may be understanding that you don't have it to give, or somebody else doesn't have it to give right now, but it may not be for you to make sure that it's fixed right this second. Stay balanced and let justice kind of take its course. That's sort of the advice. That one didn't really flow together super well, so I'm sorry about that. That gap thing was kind of weird though. That was a strange feeling. Okay, Libra. Libra energy, something you might be dealing with this week. And a piece of advice. Okay, well, you have very interesting advice, Libra, and in terms of the cards here, and you also have heavy Cancer energy here. So I don't know if you're dealing with a Cancer this week, or it's a Cancer time frame that we're talking about coming up in mid-June to mid-July, because that also came through in the main. Two cards came out for you this week. The Moon in reverse and the Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is my family card. It's the happily ever after card of the deck, like the picture perfect look of what family life and contentment, our emotional state looks like. Tens all represent more of a collective feel, not necessarily everyone on the planet, but you and your group. So you and your work group, you and your family. Tens are more than just you, though. So if you notice on most of the 10 cards, there's not just a singular individual. The moon card in reverse, it talks about clarity. So I don't know this week, Libra, if you're seeing something clearer than you have about your family, in regards to your family, in terms of where you fit in your family, maybe. But when the moon is in the upright, it represents an energy where we don't see everything clearly. It can be kind of an emotional, um, I was getting ready to say mystery. I don't know why that came to mind. But something isn't clear. And I use the imagery of when the sun is out, we see daylight, we see everything. When the moon is out, even at its fullest, we still see so many shadows. Those shadows, it could be talking about things that, quite frankly, I just want to say projection. There may have been a situation in your family life that you have been looking at through a lens of projection because you're only seeing the shadow of it. The shadows represent things we don't want to see, especially on an emotional level, or why we think a certain way, why we feel a certain way. When it's in reverse, it's clarity. Like there are no more shadows. You've seen something fairly clearly for what it is versus how you might have seen it through your own lens of projection. And that seems kind of deep for a quick weekly reading, but it is what it is. I always love this deck does a couple of the cards really, really well. So upright here, we have a kitty looking in a pool, and it sees a much bigger, grandiose version of itself. That's kind of good. That's a good example of like moon energy. Our emotions or our fears or our projections can amplify how we feel about something and the lens that we look through, for good or for bad. You know, we can have a bigger ego than we probably should, or we could see problems bigger than they actually are under the influence of that emotional moon energy. It's our subconscious working. And when it's in reverse, it's clarity. It's seeing something for really what it is without that subconscious projection. Makes me wonder if on some level, I mean, because now the big kitty is up on top. So maybe you're better at something than you thought you were. Maybe there's something in your family that you underestimated before, and now you're seeing it for what it is. Maybe there is a strength or a shrewdness or something to, and I don't know where those two adjectives came from, except I'm looking at that black cat. So somewhere within your family life, I don't know, you may have been projecting a certain image. You might be seeing something very clearly now surrounding what constitutes emotional contentment for you, or something with your literal family. The advice is very interesting. It involves backtracking. Both of these cards indicate backtracking. When the Chariot card is reverse, it's basically a full stop, or it is like not being successful in a certain way. The Six of Swords in reverse is our mind replaying certain things. It's going back over either an argument, could be an internal argument, but it's like not being able to move on from a fight, not being able to move on from something that just keeps nagging at you over and over and over, and you can't like get past it. I do want to look at these cards upright because the Chariot's the one that's really interesting to me. First of all, I'll say the Six of Swords, you can see they're packing up 5 swords and moving on under that full moon. So I can't help that the moon card did come out and it's in reverse now, and which makes this moon card in this moon also be in reverse. So something maybe you let yourself think was over, or maybe you moved on from something, but that's not really the reality of it. That's your own projection or your own subconscious at work, thinking you could leave something behind or thinking you were doing something the right when you're moving on from it. But the advice is to recognize that there may be something there to go back and look at again. Maybe you weren't seeing it clearly. Now the Chariot card in reverse is what is really interesting, because upright here, this particular deck shows the Chariot card as having like a choice. you can't take off and open up that throttle and just go. You can't gain that momentum of the Chariot until you choose, right? You have to, in the other deck, it would be grabbing the reins to stay on one road. Here, this is the moment right before she takes off, which way to go. When this is in reverse like this, there's something like maybe you went the wrong way, or you had the wrong idea about something. And that's kind of a dead end. Like, you're not going to win going down that road. So the advice would say you may want to reevaluate how you were seeing something. It could be as simple as, what was your ideal like style house or layout for a house that you wanted, but then you decide that you might be making your family bigger or something. So that original design wouldn't work, and you would have to rethink how you were thinking before for what's going to work for you now. And I keep saying family because I do have the 10 of Cups here. But the advice is all about backing up. Maybe you made a wrong choice. Maybe you were thinking about something in a way that was, not emotionally honest. It might have been through a particular lens that is no longer valid. So it may be worth this week going back and reviewing and reevaluating a circumstance to see it in a different light. I hope that helps. That it does have to do with your emotional satisfaction, though, and or like a family life, I think. Okay. Scorpio. What is an energy Scorpio might be dealing with this week? And a piece of advice. Okay, Scorpio has the 7 of Cups reversed also. Who had that? Was that Cancer maybe? 7 of Cups reversed. Leo. I think Leo had this. So I don't know if Scorpio and Leo have a tie this week together or not, but this energy of seeing something clearly, no more delusions, no more illusions. It could have to do with making a decision. I don't feel the decisiveness with this. I almost feel like something just became apparent, like something that just like fell down. I don't know why I'm thinking of the the weight being dropped. Like there was just something that just plopped down. And I don't know. Gosh, sorry for the weirdness. Sometimes you just get this weird vibe with this, but I don't know if something was like plunked down in front of you, like somebody slamming a file folder down in front of you, or something just like stopped you right in your tracks. But something becomes very apparent this week. There's no other way to look at a situation. There's no more way to project or to imagine how a situation could go. It's so weird. It's a very realistic wake-up call is what I feel for Scorpio. And I pulled a different card just to see if I could get some help with the specifics. But 5 of Pentacles. In this came up before also, but this is a card of lack. It's feeling left out in the cold, not having enough money. There could be a real reality check around money that something has to change. But what I like about this card is this time when I'm seeing it versus the time it came up before, I'm really noticing that there is an awareness. It's the awareness of where the help is. So I don't know what's happening this week, that you could have a wake-up call kind of energy, that, hey, I don't have enough money for this, or, hey, that's where the help is. That's where the stability is. So it may be that I'm really noticing on her direction toward the house. So that kind of awareness. Now, the advice, I have no idea how to read this advice today. It's the 3 of Pentacles, and it's in the reverse. So honestly, the only way I can see to read it, usually upright, this is a card of cooperation, right? It is a card of working together, getting on the same page so that there can be something built that's lasting and committed. When it's in reverse, this is a card of lack of cooperation, okay? But I don't see that as positive advice of any kind to demonstrate a lack of cooperation or to be uncooperative. So the only way I really know how to read this is that you may find yourself needing, because it's in the advice column. I honestly want to tell you, whatever this realization is, and maybe you know where to go for the security, you may not want to tell anyone. You may not want to involve other people. And I don't know if this is a situation where you listened to the wrong people in the past, or you've gone, you didn't go solo with something. Maybe you asked for too much input, or you leaned into someone's input too much. But advice for this week is like not working together. I'm just going to leave it at that. Not working together with someone. So it could be one of those things where if there's a realization that you needed money and you could possibly see other people doing something, or they offer you a chance to work with them, it would probably say to turn that down. Like there's something here about not working with somebody else, not collaborating with anyone else. There are easier ways to say, go solo, lean on yourself, so it could be something like, just don't tell everybody your plans. It could be something simple like that as advice. So I hope that you can take that however, and I hope that it works in some way, but kind of a sudden realization, but I'm not sure you should involve other people or work with other people to get to that place that I think where this stability is. It may have to be something you do alone. And there are just easier ways to say that. That's why I got confused. That was a strange card to come out for that. Maybe other people had plans, that you had been talking about. But now you know something different now. And it may not involve them. Okay, Sagittarius. Sagittarius, an energy you might be dealing with this week. Sagittarius, that's a great card. Oh, Sagittarius. Okay. Advice. Okay, Sagittarius. I don't know if there's a Scorpio involved with what you're doing or not, but this is a great energy for this week. I did pull two because I want to make sure. The energy I pulled that you may be experiencing this week is the Nine of Pentacles, which we've seen before, but in the reverse. Someone not feeling like they have enough, not feeling independent. You may be feeling quite independent. You may be feeling very good on your own, like you have everything you need. Then it's with the Four of Swords, which I also love. They can be kind of similar energies. You can tell in the Four of Swords, she's getting a good night's sleep, right? She's sleeping. She put her swords up on the windowsill. The swords represent thoughts and the communication. I don't know if you're turning your phone off more, but this is like the mental nap card. It's taking a break from thinking about something and getting rest. It really is rest. And the Nine of Pentacles is she's sitting right in her garden, reading her book. She's got everything she needs. She's feeling really, really good. Independent, solid, stable. So these two energies are really fantastic. I want to say unbothered. And not even unbothered, because that has like a smart aleck kind of slant to it. What I feel is just like maybe oblivious to anything that's going on anywhere around her. She's really just, in both cards, very much at peace in her own environment. It's not about anything else. There is nothing else going on. It's just her focus is what's happening in her world, whether she's resting. She's resting in both of them. But this is a very chill energy by yourself. I like it. I like it really well. Advice. This is so crazy. The advice is the World card and that Three of Pentacles again in reverse. So it's coming up in a second time here. It's not working with anybody else. The World card is the very end of the tarot. So it's where a cycle totally completes itself. And in this case, you can see she's tossing off her cap. She's letting go. She's letting a cycle close out. She's putting her toe in the water. You know, when you finish a project or you finish something, how you want, the first thing you want to do is just kind of sit down and just breathe. Yeah, that's kind of the energy. A cycle is wrapping up. It's either a cycle of people not being cooperative, or you're finished with something where you had to be cooperative and now you're more independent. Now you're standing on your own 2 feet. And there is this cycle of, this card is feeling really ugly to me right now. So I don't know if you had a bad collaboration at work, or people weren't working with you on things. That's the ending to this. And as advice, it's to just basically let go. You know, maybe it's let go of the need for approval or somebody else's ideas or somebody else's cooperation. It's the end of that. Now, the World is a major arcana card. So this is like a larger life cycle. This is more impactful to you than some of the other smaller energies. So I absolutely love this. It feels like feels like you have attained a level of peace and independence. And there may be something coming through this week that shows that to you. It could be in your sleep. Maybe you're going to sleep better this week, or you have a little bit of downtime, but you will notice how good it feels to be independent this week. And it's to let that go. Let go of something that was uncooperative, not helpful, that didn't serve you before, because you really are good on your own. Anyway, great. That's great energy. Best reading, I think, since I have actually started doing this, in terms of the last 4 weeks. That was really good. You made it. In a way, you made it, and that's fantastic. All right, Capricorn, an energy you might be dealing with this week. Okay. Capricorn, it's interesting. This week you may be experiencing disappointment or some kind of loss on the emotional level. This could be a fight with your friends. This could be letting go of something that felt really good to you. It's literally spilled cups, like spilled milk, you know. There's a party that is ruined there. 3 of those 5 cups have spilled. So the wisdom of this card is that not all is lost. There are still 2 cups there that are standing. But talking about an energy that you may experience, I don't know if this has to do with your family. There may be a celebration of some kind about a loss, kind of like maybe a celebration of life, or it is accompanied by loss. But not all is lost. Now, there is like something of a loyalty that still exists despite a disappointment. So on a small level, I don't know, maybe somebody disappoints you, but there still is an element of loyalty. Someone still is loyal, or maybe it wasn't that bad. The advice is, it's strange energies together, but the 3 of Swords, which we've seen before, it's the heartbreak card. It's also a disappointment, something that hurt your feelings, something that really hurt potentially. Maybe you've written it down, maybe because of that journal. But then it's paired with the Fool. And the Fool's the very beginning of the tarot. It's the having faith in yourself, having faith in a situation. It's saying yes to a situation. It's a new beginning of some kind. And it's a new beginning that you're not sure what will happen, but you're willing to take a risk on it. Now, these together show me that despite some kind of disappointment, possibly in the past, if it's been somebody that was in the cup suit, it could be a family member or friend that disappointed you. Maybe you've lost some friends. Maybe you've progressed so much in life in a weird way that you've had to leave some people behind. But this advice is saying it's kind of time to leave that disappointment, leave that heartache, and go begin something new. But it's after a time of processing it. I see the journal there, and that seems to be really important. Something's already over. What happened in the past is still there. Maybe you're still processing it, but it is in terms of advice, it's embracing possibility again. It's taking a risk again. It's saying yes to something again without the coloring of something from the past. So despite any loss, despite somebody's betrayal, despite having to leave certain friends or family behind, you may get a chance this week to stop thinking so much about that loss and begin something new. With a freshness of someone young, childlike. We talked about that childlike energy in the general collective part. So not letting it be tarnished by a past disappointment. Okay, Aquarius. It's an energy you might be dealing with this week. Aquarius. Oh, that's so funny. And a piece of advice. Okay, I don't know what is going on here. Aquarius. The card that you got is the Seven of Pentacles, and we did see this in the general collective. So this is a card of patience and waiting for a process to shake out. Keep tending the garden that you already started. This lady in this card planted those seeds, and she can't make them grow any faster. They just are what they are. What she can do, though, is maintain them. It's needing attention. It's understanding, being knowledgeable about what those need, not pushing it, not trying to wrangle it, not forcing an issue. This is going with the process. It's still attentive, though. It's not like she's sitting down, ignoring it completely, or never coming outside. It's tending to the things, your seeds that you've started. So this week, you may feel a temptation to mix it up. I don't know if you want to, if something's not growing fast enough, you may feel a temptation to change up what you're doing, or to try a new process, or to get rid of something and start something new. And that, I don't think that is the thing that is going to work for you. Now, the piece of advice you got is, this is the third time, the Three of Pentacles in reverse. And I'm telling you, I don't know why I'm having trouble reading this today in the advice column. It just seems so counter and to what I would normally say about this card. But again, I will reiterate, and I did pull a clarifier just to try to help me, and it does make a little more sense. But basically, this card combination to me today, maybe this wouldn't come across like this any other day, but you don't need anyone else. You don't need other people's advice. You don't need to look at what someone else is doing. You have the ability with the Queen of Wands here to do what you need to do and to grow what you need, want to grow. I think it's because maybe you may feel like something isn't taking off fast enough. Maybe you're not seeing results fast enough with this. And the advice is saying don't be tempted to bring in other people, to collaborate, to ask other people's advice, to do it like somebody else did it. You have the magic. Keep doing it your way. Like the Queen of Wands is very charismatic. She's very powerful. She's got a lot of energy, a lot of creativity, and she doesn't really need anybody. I mean, the energy of that card is that the spark. She has the spark. So if something seems to be taking its sweet old time and you begin to doubt that you're going to see the results, the advice here is don't let that kind of thinking get in your way this week. You don't need anybody else. Like, you've kind of got it all. Okay, you've got what you need, but it is just more about having patience with the process. So keep going. You are the magic. And don't try to switch and do something somebody else is doing because you think your stuff isn't working. So I hope that helps. Wow. Okay, Pisces. Energy you might be dealing with for this week. Pisces. Okay. All right, for Pisces, the card that I got, I needed a clarifier for it, so I pulled two. Is the Magician in the reverse. And it's paired with the Page of Cups upright. The Magician in the reverse is an interesting card to me always because, again, like with most tarot cards, it can have a couple of different meanings. And since I'm doing a general reading, not for someone specific, it can mean two different things, mainly to me. It is, if this is about your energy, it can indicate that maybe you don't feel like you have mastery of something. You're unable to produce something or to make something happen. That would kind of flow with the energy of this week so far that I've seen. But the Magician, when he's in the upright, it may be helpful to explain this card. When he's in the upright, this is the second card in the tarot. This is after you decide to take that leap of faith and you're going to do something. I'm going to start a new job. I'm going to start a new workout regimen. And then you kind of lay out your resources and see what you've got. This is like, if I had to term it in a word, it's like capable. Okay. He has all four of these suits on the table of the items. He's got the sword, the wand, the cup, and the pentacle. He has the stuff he needs. He's very capable of doing it. So it's initiative and it's capability. Okay, the Fool energy tends to be possibly that initiative where you decide to do something. The Magician is where you understand you can do it and you begin doing it. So when it's in the reverse, it's not being able to do it. It's not having everything you need. It's it could be a feeling of not being capable. It could be a confidence thing, or it could be an actual resource thing where you don't have everything you need to get something done. Now, with the Page of Cups here next to it, it's talking about self-expression, because that page energy to me is again, young, little energy, but it's about expression and putting yourself out there. And you can tell in this one, he's trying to paint a painting. So I don't know if you don't have what you need to express yourself or you think you're incapable of some way of doing it. The other thing is you could be dealing with someone who is feeling like this. And maybe you're trying to help, because the Page of Cups is typically a Pisces energy to me. So maybe you're the page here. I don't know if you are trying something new, and if you're dealing with someone else, though, maybe you're extending yourself in some way to help them, or the more negative connotation of the King or the Magician reversed is like someone who's trying to do something in a real shady way or an underhanded way because they don't have the resources it takes to do it above board. So they cut corners, or they try to lie, or they try to swindle you, or something like that. So someone may reach out to you with this extension of like a hi, how are you? I would be leery of that if it's someone that you know has been kind of shady in the past. If they reach out, be easy with that. That would be more of like if I were doing one-on-one readings, that energy might come up more. This could be just if you're feeling like you don't have everything it takes to do something. Okay, if you don't have enough resources, you can't seem to master a certain thing. But it does have that connotation of maybe somebody that you're dealing with. It might be something really simple. Maybe you need to express something because of that page, and you don't know how to do it. So, for instance, the way that would work was like, in my case, if I were thinking about the next Tarot Talk video that I wanted to do, if I didn't think I had the right words or the right idea to make that next video happen, that would be like the Magician reverse. Is me having trouble expressing myself or putting something out there. It's just that could be one way. So maybe there is this thing that you would like to express and you really don't know how to do it, or you don't have the skill set to do it. Now the advice is not as, it's equally as confusing a little bit. The Sun reversed and the 8 of Pentacles in reverse. This combination hit me in a lot of different ways. I don't really know because I don't have a good handle this week on that magician. But in terms of advice, the sun reversed, more importantly, what I want to say about that card is it can have to do with your health. I do not read for health. So what I would say is if you feel uninspired or you're not able to get your work done, you might check in with yourself, your mental health. Like, are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling low about something? Are you feeling kind of down about something that's affecting your work? Are you doing this self work to make yourself feel better? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating right? Are you getting out in the sunshine? So if you are feeling kind of not yourself, not as vibrant, if you are short on ideas or feeling, I want to say, like, if you have the blues this week, you may look to the daily regimen details. Are you putting the work, the self-care in? That could help out tremendously. So this combination of cards really speaks to me about inspiration and motivation. So if you're feeling uninspired, if you're feeling a lack of motivation to work, or just generally kind of blah, definitely look to the self-care regimen and put time and energy into yourself. Get good sleep, eat on a normal schedule, do things that make you happy, that make you laugh, go for a walk, get outside in the sun a little bit, that kind of thing, in order to boost your mood across the board. So that sun card in reverse can be kind of worrisome, but it can also just be, feeling not yourself, really not, just having a touch of the blues, a little bit of depression, that kind of thing. The other thing that I kind of want to say, and this came way out of the blue with this, but I told you that sun card hit me in a weird way. You don't always have to project positive emotions. Like, you may be struggling right now to express some of the feelings that you have that aren't so happy or great. It would be the equivalent of maybe needing to tell someone a hard truth and you don't really know how to tell someone how you feel because you don't want to hurt their feelings. You may struggle with anything that isn't optimistic. It could be that. It also could be it's worth it. All emotions are worth expressing. So don't shy away from stuff that doesn't come off as a happy feeling. And then there also may need to be those two pieces of advice. The last thing I would say about that before I go is don't make the mistake of ignoring emotions that are less than optimistic. So sometimes it's easy to push away more pessimistic feelings, or if you're angry, you'd rather not be angry, so that you kind of ignore that. And given that the week was the King of Cups, the King of Cups doesn't ignore his emotions. He understands them. On the surface, he may look level, but he is processing them. And so don't ignore the emotions that may not be so great. Go ahead and feel them. But definitely, I just feel a lot of self-care this week if you're feeling kind of down. So I hope that helps. I hope you pulled something from that this week, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you for being here. Bye.